Hey, Axel, how are you today? Welcome to our next podcast. The topic today is based on a question we get often, which is what industry does cold outreach work best for? So we've been doing this now for 4 or 5 years. So what do you find are the best industries that work well for cold outreach?
Hi, Jen. It's an interesting question. I think last night we were talking about the same stuff. It's really hard to pinpoint on what industries work for lead generation and what it doesn't work for. I think lead generation works for every business that needs sales at the end of the day. So as long as your ticket size or product is good enough to be sold on via lead generation, it's a good fit. The reason why I say high ticket size or of your service or product is because if it's a low ticket size, then lead generation can be slightly costly, and the ROI won't make sense.
Sorry, can you clarify what you mean by high ticket and low ticket? Like what benchmark would you define as those?
That's a good question. It's okay. So I'm just gonna put it that way. Instead of giving both the terms an X or Y number, I would say just look at the service that you are trying to sell and how much effort would it be needed via lead generation and the cost behind it. If it makes sense to do the lead generation, because volume of leads coming via lead generation is definitely going to be lower than running meta ads. You know, so you can evaluate your service accordingly, or the positioning accordingly, whether if lead generation can be a handy tool for you or not. One example could be if you are trying to sell graphic design services to digital marketing agencies. Lead generation, and you just charge, let's suppose, $100 for a logo. Lead generation might not be the best use case for you. It is going to work, it is going to get you the leads, but the amount of effort that you are going to put in via lead generation to get the sales meeting, I believe won't be good enough, and it might exhaust you.
When you say lead generation, you mean cold, organic, outbound, LinkedIn and email lead
Yes.
generation, as
Yeah.
opposed to other types of lead generation. Yeah. So I think the numbers that we understand for cold outbound is a booked call can cost anywhere between 100 to 500 US dollars. So if you're if that's a good fee for you just to book the call, not to close the deal. So maybe you need 5 booked calls a month to close one deal.
Yeah.
You need to be willing to pay 500 to 2,500 per month to book those 5 calls and in order to close business. And if the business that you close is more than 2,500, so that's where we get the high
Yeah.
ticket number, right? It needs to be 5,000 or 10,000 or 30,000 for your business for you to feel like you've got the ROI. Is that right?
Yeah, so in simple terms, think of industries where relationship matters and decision making takes a while. You know, if it's kind of like a service that you're trying to, which is more like a freelance service, probably it lead generation via LinkedIn and email won't be worth it. But if it's a high-end service where you're trying to sell ERPs to manufacturers or hospitals, or you are trying to break into financial sector, and you have a gigantic offer and you need to create B2B relationships, then I think lead generation works really well for you.
Okay. So yeah, ultimately it comes down to the price point of your services. And if it's high ticket, meaning more than 5 or 10K
Yes.
services or higher, the higher the better,
Yeah.
then cold outbound lead generation would work for you because it's kind of more expensive, right, than just running Google ads. but it's critical for when, as you say, relationships matter
Yeah.
for that B2B contract to be closed. Okay. All right.
With via
Yeah.
meta ads, you can get the volume of leads. Specifically, if you are talking about somewhere you need to have relationship matters. But with meta ads, you won't be able to target those exact key decision makers, and you won't be able to build up a relationship via LinkedIn and email. It gives you the leverage to target certain people from a certain industry, and you can turn turn over your connection into a relationship, meaningful relationship.
Yeah, that's a good point. So we do see it where both work. A company can run meta ads and attract decision makers, but then maybe retarget them on LinkedIn and email, vice versa. Have a
Yeah,
LinkedIn or email list and then retarget them on ads, or retarget visitors to your website with ads.
yeah,
I think the key that we find is cold outbound LinkedIn and email lead generation is just one way to get leads and
yeah,
should be considered as part of the ecosystem of your marketing and sales efforts. Is that right?
yeah. So one thing I would like to just cover in this topic is to be very clearly stating where lead generation struggles, because yesterday we were doing the exercise of clients that we worked with, and it didn't really took off. So couple of reasons that I have in my mind as of now is industries with super low ticket size. B would be if your product doesn't really need explanation or nurturing of the leads. I think lead generation might not do really well for you. And third thing is if you are someone who has a very small team or is just yourself, and your follow-up process is broken, or you can't really build relationships and you don't have time, I think lead generation won't be that effective for you as for the rest.
Yeah, that's right. And we were also talking about the fact that if your offer is very generic, or there's a lot of competitors flooding the market with similar cold outbound messages like SEO or outsourced devs or something where there's a lot of players from developing countries DMing
Yeah,
everyone saying, I can give you cheap developers, or I can give you cheap paid ads or cheap SEO. It's really hard to stand out in that market unless you have a very specific
yeah,
brand positioning or specific
yeah.
niche expertise that makes you very different. Can
Yeah,
be
because
quite
that
tricky.
way
Yeah.
you are turning your lead generation engine into a freelance portal where it's kind of like Upwork and Fiverr, where you have to compete with thousands of people on the pricing rather than your offer and your overall approach. So yeah, if it's
Yeah.
too crowded, then again.
So the more specific you are, the better, and the more differentiated you are, the better.
So I have one question, Jen. So if for example I'm running a software house and my service is to outsource developers, but like we just established that it's a very crowded space and everybody is doing the outreach, and everybody's primarily um running about the pricing point. So what should we do as a business owner? What should I do different to stand out?
My advice to you would be, if you're aware that Upwork and these freelancer platforms, everyone is offering their services at the cheapest price, then the counter strategy would be to say, we are not like those generic freelance developers who give you $5 an hour or something because they come from somewhere in India or Pakistan. We give you the top end developers who have some niche level of expertise, maybe AI, machine learning, maybe crypto, Web3, or something that not just anyone can do. Or maybe it's the combination of business consulting with the IT software development. Maybe it's the business design as well as the development, or the team management as well as the development. There has to be some level of deep expertise and point of difference that you provide that means that you're not just being grouped with the cheap developers who can provide it for $5 or $10 per hour. Why would someone pay you $500 an hour for your specialized developers? So it's really about niching and specialty. And if you can prove that you have amazing expertise in, a niche area of pharmaceutical software AI or something, then people will seek you out because only you can provide that.
So it's more about the offer and execution rather than just jumping into the rat race, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, that's critical. Yeah.
Right, perfect. Yeah, so in conclusion, I think lead generation can work for any industry as long as sales are required. But the failure doesn't have to be with the industry, it has to do a lot of different factors related to your business.
Yeah. And the only thing I would add to that is volume as well. You have to be able to sustain time and volume for your approach. And that comes back to the ROI question of like, can you afford to do this long enough
Yeah.
to book enough calls to close enough business? Yeah. All right. Thank you for your time.
Thanks, Jen.